Welcome to the Clutch Burners Podcast. This is your home for stick shift drag racing, stick shift tech, and in this episode, we're going to take a deep dive into some pretty cool transmission stuff. I'm Bank Shift Billy, and my co-host, as usual, is Rich Guido, the Canadian Chuck Norris. And Rich, who the heck do we have tonight?
Well, we've got a fella named Craig. I'm not sure if his name's actually Liberty or if he works for Liberty, but Craig is joining us from Liberty.
I think he might be second generation owner of Liberty's gears.
That I am.
That's awesome,
well,
Craig. Thanks for coming on here.
Craig Liberty. That is my last name. Yes.
What a coincidence. There's this really awesome transmission company named after you.
Yeah, that's why I work here, I think.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Transmission company that's started up at PRI. I wasn't there,
Yeah,
but I heard a story.
I heard we stirred a little bit up at PRI this year, yes. So, yeah.
I didn't hear about this, and I was there. Tell us, Craig. Tell us what happened.
So I'm not much of a social media person. Every morning I would hear about everything that's going on in social media and all the stuff we stirred up, and basically all it is was we came out with a transmission to fill a void out there, and the void was a big horsepower capable H pattern clutch assisted transmission. We're known for big horsepower. The only problem is, in most people's eyes, we're known for clutchless transmissions. This is truly a clutch assisted trans, so it's a little bit outside the wheelhouse that people know us for, but it's not outside our wheelhouse. This is something we've done. Clutch assisted transmissions are that's what the company was founded on. The clutchless transmission only came around later, but it worked so well that's what people know us for. And this is a true clutch assisted H pattern trans. And as soon as people saw it and it looks representative of our clutchless dual countershaft design, everyone just thinks it's illegal. It shouldn't be allowed. And it's a clutchless trans with an H pattern shifter. It's not. It is truly a legal H pattern clutch assisted transmission. Will not be a cheater version of it. There's not going to be an H pattern put on a clutchless. This is nothing we're interested in. This is just to give a racer a good, strong H pattern transmission to throw pretty much as much horsepower as you want at it. The transmission it's based off from has seen over 5,000 horsepower with virtually zero failures. Yes, 5,000. That's not a mistake. It's we've actually screw blown, and it takes a lot to get that kind of horsepower. But of course, there's no transmissions out there that can handle anything remotely close to that in the H pattern world. And there's people out there trying to go. Everyone wants to be the first 5-second car H pattern. And I don't know. Maybe the transmissions can handle it. Maybe they can't. But the fact of the matter is, if it's a question at all, it's dangerous to push something. You don't need a driveline component, especially a major driveline component like that failing. Using a motor, kick a rod, oil down a tire. It's just dangerous. We want to give the racer something that they can go out there and safely attempt to go in the 5 seconds. And that's what we did. And apparently it stirred a little bit of commotion out there for whatever reason.
God, and I thought you got drunk or something at PRI. Like, you just kind of jumped right into it.
No.
Forget the segue tonight. We'll just get right into it, I guess.
Me getting drunk at PRI didn't even make anywhere in social media. Nobody even saw that. Nobody cared about that. They all cared about the H pattern.
Okay, so let's back up just a little bit. Maybe could you give us a little bit of history to kind of lead us to where we were at PRI?
Sure.
On Liberty's gear, where it started, all that stuff, just for people that don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, you can read about it online, but I think it's probably way better hearing it from you.
So I'm second generation. Joe Liberty was my dad, and I say was because he passed away a little over 6 years ago now. And he had a Ford top loader back in the 60s that he raced, and he was a stick shift guy his whole life, but they just didn't shift. So you take them, and everyone would do the slick shift where you cut off every other synchro tooth and either remove the brass or cut every tooth off the brass also, and just see what that did for you. And it would help a little bit, but then you ring off so 36 teeth normally on the synchros, and you make them down to 18. Those 18 would break off and go through the transmission, and you wouldn't have that gear anymore to drive. It wouldn't necessarily break the gear, but it ripped the synchro teeth off. So he wanted to come up with something a little more robust. And so what he came up with was our Pro Ring. And so he grinds off the entire synchro section of his Ford top loader gears. He had so many of them missing all 36 teeth anyhow in the synchros. Weld on a 12-tooth Pro Ring. So now you take that slider, 12 divides into 36, really nice. So you grind off 2 teeth, leave 1, grind off 2, leave 1. You end up with a 12-tooth slider, a 12-tooth welded on Pro Ring. Now you have something that can handle some abuse. And he would go out there, and Detroit Dragway, Midland Dragway, those were our 2 local drag strips. And he would go out there, and he had a 34 Ford. Headers used to come up the windshield and up over the top of the car. And it was a rather unique thing. He thought that would keep the front end down with the exhaust pressure, which, I mean, I guess it's early bullhorns, but coming over the windshield was rather unique. He was a little bit ahead of his time on a lot of stuff. So that car, he would go out there and people would just hear it going down a racetrack and say, is that an automatic? He said, no, it's a 4-speed. And they said, well, what did you do to it? So he'd explain it to them. At the time, he was a tool and die maker at Cadillac. And so I don't doubt some of our first components for our transmissions were made on Cadillac's dime, but hey, that's just how it was back then.
It sounds like a Johnny Cash song is what it sounds like.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it very well could fit in there. Throw some lyrics too. I can come up with some lyrics for the next one if you need me to get some lyrics together. And
that would be great. That would be great.
Yeah, just give you some heads up. But so he just started modifying transmissions. People kept saying, hey, can you do that to my trans? And so he started modifying people's transmissions. At the point, it got to the point where he modified so many of them, he just said, we can do this as a business. So he quit Cadillac, opened up Liberty's Gears, and that's where it all started.
And then you were born somewhere in there.
I was actually born at that time. So that was late 60s. I was born in 60. I'm 60 years old. I was born in 65. So
Were you born in the backseat of a Cadillac?
No, I was not born in the backseat of a Cadillac. I was at Henry Ford Hospital. My mom made it to the hospital.
All right. Good. That's awesome. Rich, you've been so quiet tonight.
Oh, that's why he's so quiet.
He's so quiet because he's muted.
His lips are moving.
There we go.
Sorry about that. Yeah.
That's okay.
I was just trying to see if it would help my internet. You said that was in 1960? That's when he started?
It was the late 60s. So it was like 68, 69. We actually went incorporated in 73. So there was a little bit of a lag there where we were Liberty's Gears. We were known as Liberty's Gears. So actually went incorporated in 73. So, but it was 69 when he actually came up with his first Pro Ring. And like I say, it all just evolved from there. It's evolved tremendously, but we still actually mount those Pro Rings today. There's plenty of people that still use that product because it's a very economical way to make your stick shift at big RPM.
And that first transmission was a top loader, is that correct?
Top loader, but there's a lot of similarities between a top loader, a Chrysler Hemi, a Muncie, a Borg-Warner Super T10. They all have 36 teeth on the synchro rings, and the sliders are very similar. So you can modify the sliders and weld on the exact same Pro Ring on all of them. They're all the same diameter on the synchros. So it was pretty easy transition to go to all of those.
So basically, all those transmissions were modeled after the Ford transmission. I mean,
correct.
That's what I'm gonna think. Oh, that's awesome.
That's Ford. Much. I mean, the Ford top loader was the very first pro-tinted transmission.
So I'm a big Ford guy, but I love it when Ford was the leader on all this stuff.
Later on though, as we started to get into where we wanted to maybe go clutchless, so the next step is let's make it to where you don't have to lift on the shift. So a clutchless transmission, complete different principle. Ford top loader has a 3 1/4 inch center distance gear set, and the biggest transmission at the time out there was a Chrysler Hemi 833. So we figured, okay, let's take the 3 1/2 inch center distance gear set and let's build in that case. And it had a cast iron case, which the top loaders also did. But so we built our very first clutchless transmissions came in a Chrysler 833 Hemi style transmission. And that's where the clutchless actually began, was in a Chrysler. So we got Ford and Chrysler covered so far.
Nice.
Nice. I've been a Chevy guy my whole life somehow, even though we started with Fords and Chryslers. I don't know how that kind of worked in.
Maybe you're adopted.
That's just me. I don't know why.
Maybe you were adopted.
Yeah, maybe. Who knows? If you saw my
No.
dad and I side by side, you'd realize I'm not adopted. I'm probably
Nice. Uh, um. Okay, so when did you guys? And I do want to get into detail on the transmission you launched, but I kind of want a little backstory too.
not.
Um. So when did you guys actually make your first transmission in it your own case?
So the first ones were so that Chrysler 4-speed that we had and Pro Shifted that was our first rendition of a clutchless. And Monday mornings were pretty rough in here. A lot of breakage over the weekends. Single cluster transmission. We weren't necessarily as versed as we are today, or not even remotely close as we are today, and knowledgeable on materials, heat treat, just everything. And metals have come a long ways in this amount of time too. So we're talking, this was early 70s. And so just a typical Monday, my dad's sitting at his desk with a whole bunch of broken Chrysler clusters and speed gears and stuff on his desk. And he started wondering, like, okay, it's logical what's breaking these things. It's the separation on the gear set, and you can't hold them together. You can't get a cluster strong enough to not bow, or a case strong enough to hold everything together. And he took a second broken cluster from a pair of gears, a gear set, and set it on the other side of the main shaft. And well, if we can get this second cluster over there, now the main shaft gears can't deflect away from a cluster. The other cluster would push it back to center. And so that's where the dual countershaft clutchless trans came. It was literally, it was we took a 4-speed Hemi case, and it was crude. I will give you that. It was very crude, but we actually cut 2 of them. We put them side by side, brazed them together because they were cast iron. The first ones we did tack together in aluminum because it was easy. The Hemis also came in aluminum cases, but we wanted the cast iron because it's stronger. But your fusible link was going to be the brazed, the joint, so that's not going to work very long. So we had to cast up an aluminum case. So we cast up aluminum dual countershaft Chrysler Hemi style transmissions. Still today, we use this, some of the components out of that original one.
Wow.
We use a Chrysler 1-2 shift fork. We use Chrysler reverse idlers. We use a Chrysler front bearing. All these things are all representative of the original Hemi transmission that it was started as.
Wow.
True pioneers for sure.
Yeah.
That's that's and that's pretty much what you guys had to do back then, right? First, you
Yes.
start knocking teeth off, and then next thing you know, you're welding cases together. And
I will say we didn't know how to cut gears. We didn't really know, a lot on what to do here. So our very first transmission, somebody came over when we were designing this thing and said, that's kind of representative of an Eaton style transmission. Well, what's an Eaton trans? Well, the semis were using dual countershaft technology way back then. Well, we didn't know this. This is something we thought we invented it. Well, Eaton had this dual countershaft. I don't know if they were 18 speeds back then. Eventually they were, but we went to them saying, hey, look, we don't even know how to cut these or what we do for timing them or anything. Are you guys interested in helping us? And back then they were small enough and accommodating enough. They actually cut our very first gear sets for us. I don't know if it was our first 25 sets or what it was, but it was a keyed cluster, and they cut all the gears for us to help us out, which was very nice.
Wow.
So doubt you're going to get them to do today.
Probably not. Wow. So from way back then to today, the company has scaled. So how big is Liberty's gear now?
We're 6 employees, I guess. It's changed a little. Back then, we were 7 employees. That was back when life was easy, and 7 employees and not many headaches. Actually, quite honestly, we probably made more money back then when we had 7 employees. Today, we're 24, 5, 6, 7. We could get up to 27 at times, but we're probably hovering right around 24, 25, which is still plenty of people, plenty of headaches. There's no doubt about that. You try to get 25 people in any 4 walls to all get along. It is tough. And right now we have a very good group of guys. There's nobody here that I wish were gone. I mean, we're an at-will state, so if I wished them gone, they'd be gone. But so we have
they might listen to this. They might listen to this too. So you're saying all the right stuff.
I had to throw that in just in case there was. No, seriously, we really do have a good group of guys. Most everyone wants this place to succeed. They want to do their part. They want to be a part of this. They're proud to be a part of this.
Well, and
We are
stick shift racing isn't slowing down any either. Like,
no.
I mean, between drag and drive and the new stick shift classes out there and stuff, like, I know, it'll keep you busy for a while. I don't think you guys have to worry about being bored, anyways.
No, no. And then we're a machine shop too, so we'll do machining for virtually anybody. It doesn't have to be stick shift. That's what we're known for, and our metallurgy and our knowledge and making components, making strong components. But we will do machine work for virtually anybody.
So that was kind of my next question. Like, what processes do you guys have or do you do in-house? Because you manufacture transmissions from nothing. So
Right.
what all do you do in-house? Yeah.
We do pretty much, we can machine virtually anything from billet, but it's a lot easier to have castings for cases. So we cast up our cases, although we do have people that insist on billet. So when we cast, we typically cast in magnesium because it's lighter. Our case is plenty strong enough. Magnesium theoretically probably isn't as strong as billet aluminum, but it's plenty strong enough. So, and since it's so much lighter, that's what people would want. You're a drag racer. You want the lightest thing that can do the job for you. So most things are cast up in mag, and then we'll do all full machining on them here. But if somebody wants billet, you literally take cases and we're a split case design. So you get two large pieces of aluminum and machine them out of billet. And so the gear sets, everything comes in bar stock form, main shafts, bar stock form. Everything is just ordered in raw material. There's no forgings. Wow. So everything is just turned from bar stock. So we do cut our own gears. We do not heat treat in-house. We're Detroit area. So there's anything you want done around here that you want to farm out, you can heat treat. Why would we want to heat treat in-house? It doesn't make sense. Cryo, I farm out my cryo. We do a lot of cryo just because we feel that we're very intelligent when it comes to cryo. Cryo is one of the things you can hurt components just as much as you can help them if you don't know what you're doing with it. We do feel that we do know what we're doing, except for I have a partner that does them for me. Let him do them in his shop. I don't want the liquid nitrogen around here. I say I got a group of good guys. Some of them I don't trust with liquid nitrogen, so we're just going to leave that out in my shop. Said that as gently as I could. So cryo, we farm out, heat treat, we farm out, my castings, I farm out. But as far as machining, everything is done in-house.
So I'm curious, it's interesting to me that you guys make the cases out of magnesium. I get the strength to weight thing, but it's really corrosive, like it corrodes easily. Do you powder coat them clear or something to protect the outside? I mean, the inside's covered in oil, so
they get what's called pickling. At least that's the term that was presented to me back 30 some years ago. And so I stick with that term, and I'm assuming that's what it really is. But after they're cast, they're dipped in something and they have like a gold hue to them. That doesn't give us a whole lot of protection. So yes, they do oxidize. They're not the greatest thing for keeping it nice and pretty looking. They turn a dark gray and they get sometimes fuzzy. You just spray them down with oil, all the fuzz goes away, but they still end up a dark gray. Once again, racers, most of my customers would rather have that and be lighter. Now, if we fast forward to this new H pattern, we are this week deciding whether that's going to be aluminum or magnesium. These guys, some of these can be street cars. That's a fully streetable transmission. If you wanted a dog box engagement on the street, not quite sure why somebody would, but hey, who knows?
I vote for that. Come on.
Yeah, I guarantee
I got one of those.
So we may actually leave that one. This might be an aluminum case, our first aluminum cases that we've cast up in a long, long time. But so the H pattern might be a little bit different.
So you could say the magnesium ones, they just get a nice patina to them.
Yeah. Well, we build a lot for, it's not a patina. They get pretty ugly, but patina's kind
I'm trying to make it sound better here, Craig.
It's hard to make magnesium when it starts going. You can't make it very appealing. But we build a lot for Bonneville salt flats, and they would love to have the option of aluminum. And now when they get into my 6 and 7 and 10 speed transmissions, then those are billet because I do so few of them. It's not worth me casting them up. So we do make those out of billet. On a 13 speed for a couple of guys, which I cannot believe. One of them's actually for a 1/4-mile car, 13 speed transmission for a 1/4-mile car. And because he has a 10 speed and it's not quite enough gears.
Well, maybe it's a 4-cylinder and he wants to keep it in that 250 RPM power band.
That's about what he's got. That is it. It's a Burnett out of Canada. But that's Naperville Dragway. And so he does a lot of testing and started out, he had a 5-speed. He said, I need some more gears when I go, it works great in the 8th, but when I go quarter anymore. So I sold him a 7. Then he put the 7 in the 8th mile and realized it works great in the 8th. He needs more gears for quarter. So I built him a 10-speed. Now he's put the 10-speed in the 8th mile and says it works great. I need more gears for the quarter.
What is the
So
platform?
it's a 10-speed manual
Right
transmission?
now he's got a 10-speed clutchless transmission that and you're in first gear for a long ways because it's a lockup clutch. So he actually uses a clutch. And by the time you get the clutch to come in to the point where you could lock it up, tug the motor back down and recover, I would guess he's in low gear for probably 1.6, 1.7 seconds. And this thing in the quarter mile runs 580s. So in 4 seconds, he's got 9 more gears to get through. And
So
it's not enough. He wants more.
And this is pneumatically shifted, I would guess.
It's an yes. It's an Ecotech engine. And it's got a very tight power band, but yes, they are our air shifters. They work in just milliseconds. So they actually will shift very quick. And fortunately, because some of his shifts come very fast.
9 gear changes in
Just
5
over 4
seconds.
seconds. Yeah.
Jeez.
He's pretty busy in there doing, but not. Wow.
I was
Okay,
going
so-
to ask,
yeah.
how many transmissions do you make? But it sounds like you make a bunch of one-offs. If
We do a
somebody
lot
gets
of.
their-
We'll make about
Gets
anything
blown up.
somebody wants. I've got some Bonneville transmissions that are rather unique, like so much first gear that we can't really spline a cluster. Can't spline it onto the cluster shaft, so I have to make the cluster shaft billet. That sounds real simple on like a conventional single cluster trans, but on a dual countershaft transmission, those 2 clusters have to be timed to each other. So it is. It was a fun project to do. But we'll do all kinds of one-off odd stuff. We do spools and axles for monster truck stuff and for tractor pulls and for anything, any drivetrain component. That's what we're known for, is drivetrain components, primarily because of our knowledge in metallurgy. And so if you have a problem with virtually anything, come see me. Maybe we can help.
Yeah, like the T56 is definitely the input shaft is one that I think that's what's got lots of people excited about your new trans is the input shafts, the 26 spline, the 29 spline. Lots of guys are still twisting them, myself included. But so you would take a T56 Magnum input shaft and make it a 10 spline like some of the pro stock stuff?
I don't see a reason to make a 10 spline because it just doesn't require it. Quite honestly, the 29 spline is plenty. The 26 spline, I don't really like it. It's a 45-degree pressure angle on a small diameter. It's not a smart spline. 18 spline Hemi is a much stronger spline than that.
Maybe that's what I was thinking. Yeah.
And you were thinking 26. That's right. 26 is what they came with. 29 is what they went to. They just think a bigger number. It's not. Honestly, it's just. I don't want to talk bad about anybody, but really, that I can make you a 29 spline that will not fail. If you send in your input, I have the solution for it. Honestly, it wouldn't even be 29 spline, but I can fix your transmission where it's not going to fail. The problem is it's my competition's gear sets and transmissions and stuff that I would be fixing, but we're not above doing it for you. So send me your input shaft. I'll show you what we've got. You'll be happy.
Yeah. Yeah. We, I think, back in the day, I don't know, we were calling you guys up quite a bit for TKO 600s because we were past the limit of, I think I had 5 or 6 broken cases under my shed.
TKO 600. Not a real good platform. That we did what we could with it, and we enhanced them.
Yeah.
We did a lot to make them a lot better than they were. But when Tremec decided to come out with the TKX, that was a huge step up in platform. That is just a complete different animal as far as a transmission. They did a very nice job there. So between their TKX and their T56, they actually have a very good product line right now.
So you guys were the first to do well, face-plated TKOs. You were the only company I'm aware of that did those, right?
As far as I know.
And then the TKX, I think you were the first ones to do that. And did Tom Stark, did he get the first one you guys did?
He very well could have. So Brad in here. So Brad is my Tremix application guy. So he kind of works with certain people, and he took a liking to Tom Stark, and so he just he very could have got the first one. I don't even know.
How could you not like Tom Stark? I mean,
Oh
come on.
yeah,
Yeah.
no, no doubt.
Nice. And so just to educate people here, talk about the main difference between the TKO and the TKX and what makes it so much better. I mean, I think I know the answer, but I'd like to hear it from you.
The big thing with the TKO, so we made a lot of money off TKOs because they were such a horrible platform. And I'm sure we got into your
I had a
pocket.
couple.
So
Yeah.
the thing that you did was as soon as you got one, you sent it to us, and that's a horrible reputation to have. So Chemic wanted to get away from that. So, but a lot of the things we did to them, we threaded the front cap. They leaked out the front because the cluster cap pushed in, and it was really a floating cluster cap. I don't think they wanted it designed that way. I think it was originally going to have a lip on the inside, like the TKO 500s had, and the TKO 2s before it, they had a lip on the inside, and the cluster cap shouldered, and it was an O-ring. They stayed a little more stable, but I'm pretty sure when they designed the TKO 600, they realized they couldn't drop the cluster in with the bearing already in the case. And so I think they ended up having to take the lip off and then slip it back in the front after they dropped the cluster. And I think there was an aftermath for thought when they went to build them. The first gear was a little bit too large, wouldn't fit out the back of the case. So that cluster bearing sliding in the front, and then you're relying on your bell housing to hold it in place. A lot of the bell housings had a void right there. They had just to save aluminum, and it didn't give it real good cluster support. So we made a threaded cap for the cluster. It was a absolutely awesome improvement for that transmission. So it would thread in from the front and shoulder, and it supported the cluster, didn't allow it to flex. That was one of the big improvements. And of course it couldn't leak because it also had an O-ring shouldered. When it threaded in, it would shoulder off a lip and then an O-ring in that corner. All that terrific improvement. Bronze fork pads. There was stuff we did to the shift rails, detents, all these things. Tremec actually came in here and spent a couple days in our shop looking at what we do to a TKO, because customers were much more happy with a Liberty Prep TKO than they were just a stock Tremec TKO. And even just an upgrade sink. It didn't have to be faceplated. And so Tremec came in here and they listened to everything we told them, along with there were 10 elite distributors across the country, actually across the world. They brought us all together, took all of our opinions as to what we would do to make a better TKO, and they listened, and they did it. And I mean, honestly, they nailed it. They nailed it. They did a really good job coming out with the TKX. Unfortunately for them, they might have lost some of the market because some of the people just went elsewhere, started going to the T56 Magnum. That's a good transmission. And once you go to that, there's no reason to come back to the TKX. TKX a couple years earlier would have been a real nice piece to have, but two more years of money that I wouldn't have made off TKOs. So I'm not complaining.
Yeah, bench pressing a T56 Magnum is substantially different than a TKO. So I haven't owned a TKX yet, but I got a 77 Trans Am, so it might end up with one just because of the smaller housing, and it's got some good gear ratios. What's the best gear ratio in a TKX? Is it a 6.8 or a 6.7?
Yeah, I believe it's a 6.4, and there's a 8.
Oh.
You know what? I'm not even 100% sure, but the two ratios, one of the problems you have is everyone just says, well, I want the biggest drop I can get. And then you don't have enough horsepower to pull it. If you're hard enough in the throttle that you're kind of killing your overdrive because you have to give it that much more gas, it defeats the purpose of, let's say, fuel economy, whatever. So you really got to think that one out between your tire and your final drive on what really works for you.
So I'm a bit of a nerd and I have the chart pulled up.
Okay.
0.68 is the best, and then it goes to 0.72 and then 0.81 are the options. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different options. 4 are Ford options and 3 are GM options. And you have different first gears from a 287 or a 327, and then those different overdrives, I said, but 6.8, 0.68 is the best.
Okay. 6.8 is probably a pretty good number, but that is in, I believe, TKO 500. TKO 600, you're, I think, stuck with a 6.4, which gets to be just a little bit down further. And I could be wrong, but I'm pretty confident that's accurate. If Brad were here, he would tell me for sure. Or I don't see a Tremec thing anywhere on Nicole's desk
Yeah, I just
here.
have it.
Open
I
it
just
up.
have it pulled up on your website, TKX available configurations.
On
But
my own website, and I'm about to say I don't think that's accurate, but okay, that's interesting.
it's okay.
Like there is no
But-
7.1 that I know of.
no,
think
I said, yeah, 0.72, 0.81, a 6.8. Those are the three.
Interesting. I might have to check that.
Maybe it's a typo on your website. I don't
Yeah,
know.
it could
But
be.
you
I'm gonna
probably
look.
took this right. Took it right from Tremec, I bet.
Yeah, it could be accurate. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
Awesome.
you guys,
So
you guys faceplate the TKX and you faceplate or dog box the T56. You do both, right?
Yes, we do both of them. And faceplate and dog box are the same thing. It is just
Yeah.
faceplate. It's two different terms for the same process.
So, and one other piece about the TKX from the TKO, because Rich, you probably destroyed how many third gears in the TKO? And it was like the TKX has like I don't know what you call it exactly, but there's like a center collar that supports the clusters, correct?
There's a center plate, so it is a
Okay.
cartridge, more of a center plate style engagement, where the old one was just supported in the tail housing, so you had a lot more of a span there. So now, yes, you do limit a lot of the deflection. It uses a lot of the technology out of the Magnum transmission. It's actually completely underrated if they're going to still call it a 600 horsepower transit. It'll handle more than that. I think they just didn't want to encroach on their T56 market. So I think they don't really talk horsepower rating on it anymore, or torque rating. But it handles considerable amount more. It actually has better synchronizers. It's got the T56 style or the Magnum style synchronizers in it. So it synchronizes better, shifts quite a bit better, a lot stronger. The front cluster cap that we used to thread and make decent money, and that's what brought all my customers in here for a long time. And that is now, it's not even a through hole. There's no hole coming through the front of the case. It loads from inside, so there's no chance of leaking. They've got a really nice gasket in a couple spots that they utilize, and those gaskets are they actually have a rubber almost impregnated in them, and everything about the thing. They fixed all the leaks, just everything from modifying the tail housings a little bit easier now. They listen to everybody, and they couldn't take everybody's advice into account, just because some of them overlapped and some of them were contradictory, but they just did a very, very nice job. And like you started to mention, the broken third gears, part of that was because of the lack of support. The bearings were so far apart, so they got that solution because of the mid plate. And then also the third gear was offset. Why the offset in the third gear was shifted off from the edge of the cluster in the TKOs for all those years. Now, why they offset it, mismatched it, I don't know if it was a mistake on somebody's part in a simple measurement and they never corrected it. I don't know, but the gear alignment now is spot on. Tooth profiles haven't changed a tremendous amount, so that part stayed the same. It's just a much stronger design, primarily the mid plate, the better synchros. It shifts so much better. It's unbelievable. The TKOs, you always had the second to third gear problem. You no longer have that. It's just a much nicer piece.
It sure is.
So you said it shifts like butter. I think that's what you said, right?
Pretty much. I didn't quite say that, but I'll agree with it.
Nice. And I will say, I feel like a big market for that is I have my real good friend Jamie. He's actually replacing a T5 with a TKX. And the nice thing is they're so compact. Like you don't have to beat up the floor or anything. They go right in, and it's leaps and bounds stronger than a T5.
Yeah. The rounded top of it was a huge, that was nice, instead of the flat top it used to have with the top cover. And yes, it didn't really fit many tunnels and you had to do some modifications. So the new rounded top, big improvement. Fits right in a lot of your old muscle cars that nobody wants to cut up. You know, a 70 Chevelle, a 69 Camaro, they fit the tunnels. And,
And they're
who
like
wants to cut their old muscle car?
40 pounds lighter than a T56 Magnum, probably
Yeah,
somewhere in that range, hey?
somewhere around there, primarily because it's only got one overdrive instead of two. I mean, if you want two overdrives, you get the T56 Magnum. If you can get by with one, which most people have none, that's the reason they're going to this. So
Yeah,
one overdrive is all you really need. Do you really need two? Probably not.
not unless you drive like me in February, 7,000 miles in a couple of weeks. It's nice to
Yeah.
have both overdrives in, but
Okay.
Well, in all fairness, you like that 0.5 overdrive that's in the Magnum.
it did. Now that I'm going a little quicker, I've got a 325 rear gear, so I moved to the 6.3 overdrive, which is quite a big RPM change, but
Mhm.
it's still at 325 with 28-inch tall tires. And a 0.5 overdrive is like 1,600 RPM is 80 miles an hour, and the Pontiac has a lot of torque, but when you're towing it, if I wasn't towing a trailer, it would be fine actually. But when you're towing a trailer that weighs 1,800 pounds, yeah, it's just a little, you just need it up just a little. Like with the 29-inch tall winter tires to drive to Florida, I'll probably still be like 1,850 RPM. So it'll cruise no problem at all right there. So,
Nice.
so yeah, speaking of overdrive, so let's talk about the new transmission and gear ratios and options. I know that you guys, I heard a rumor that you brought it to PRI, and it got everybody pretty excited. So it was like, we'll just put this out there. But it sounds like lots of people are interested, and you guys are going to make it happen.
Yes. So we took a lot of orders at PRI, very happy with the interest in it. There were a few people that said they were coming by on Saturday to put their order in. And by the time Saturday rolled around, they were a little nervous that maybe some rules are going to be changed to not allow it. I kind of doubt that's going to happen because why would you? It is H pattern and it is clutch assisted. Sure, you have to, you're going to cut your car. It's a wide transmission. We took a standard conventional cluster down below, rotated the trans 90 degrees and added another cluster on the other side. It is wide. So you do have to modify a floor to fit it in there. But it's from a safety standpoint, why would you not want something that is overkill? So I kind of doubt they're going to outlaw it. It would be foolish on their part to mandate somebody to run a transmission that can't handle the horsepower that they want to put through it to try and go 5 seconds. That would be foolish on their part.
What is the mindset of them outlawing it? If it's clutch assisted, H pattern, what's the problem?
There is no problem. It's all my competition that wants it outlawed. It's not the sanction.
Oh,
It's not the rule makers. I've talked to all of them, and I've talked to all but one, and they've all said that, hey, if it's H pattern and it's clutch assisted, it rolls. It's fine.
Yeah.
That's what the class is about, and all you're doing is giving them something to not have to worry about anymore. So it's
so let me
it fails.
let me make sure I understand. When you say clutch assisted, it's really just a power interrupt that's needed to make the shift, correct? So you could do it
Correct.
a lot of different ways, like they're
Yes.
doing right now.
What a clutch assisted really means, it doesn't mean you actually are going to necessarily use the clutch, but it's designed to use the clutch. What it really means is you have to do something to interrupt the power coming through the trans to be able to pull it out of the previous gear. You'll cross a neutral gate, so you will have an engine spike if you don't have an interrupter or hitting a bumping off a throttle stop or something, and then it will go into the next gear. But there is a neutral spike in between the gear changes. That's just characteristic of a clutch assisted transmission. Any clutch assisted trans out there, you don't have to use a clutch. You can, your stock Mustang, stock Camaro, you go drive that without using the clutch if you want to. It's a little bit tricky, but you can do it. So you don't have to use
We all
clutch.
kick the clutch. It's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is, but this does, it's solid sliders. You do pull it out of first gear. That same slider energizes second gear or engages second gear, and there's a neutral in between the two. The
Okay.
transmission we came out with, so you started mentioning overdrives. The transmission we came out with is a 4-speed only transmission right now. That's what we're going to start with because that's the biggest market out there. That's pretty much everyone's using it as a race only box. This is designed, we're going to ultimately have a 5-speed and a 6-speed, but right now we're just getting these 4 speeds and the market filled. So the 5-speed, we do not plan on having an overdrive in it. The reason is you have a solid slider for first and second, a solid slider for third and fourth, and a solid slider for fifth gear. So you have 3 different gates that you have to get. The problem is fifth gear has to be 1-to-1. Also, you don't generate ratio when you're in that forward gear in the transmission. So that forward gear that locks the slider from the main shaft to the input shaft is not generating ratio. You're literally locking the input to the output, power flows straight through, and it's a 1-to-1 ratio. So if your third gate is going to be your 1-to-1, your overdrive would have to be in your middle gate and down by fourth gear position. The H pattern just doesn't work. So the 5-speed is going to be a straight up. I could flip it upside down. It gets too complicated and too weak of an engagement to make the 3-4. I'd have to go a first gear slider by itself and then the 2-3 and the 4-5, and the 4-5 would have to work backwards to where it goes into fifth gear first and fourth. The whole thing just gets way too complicated, and that's not what this trans was really about. Now, the 6-speed, I could do that one I could flip that slide upside down because the third gate is now fifth and sixth gear. So the 6-speed could be overdrive. We're not sure yet. That's far enough down the road. We're going to talk to some end users and see. There's a possibility that what we'll do is we can give you so much low gear that maybe you don't need an overdrive. You take a bunch of ring and pinion away. I think Richmond did this way back in the 70s and into the 80s, where they just said, take ring and pinion away. We'll put extra first gear in the transmission. And so that you don't really miss that. And then when you hit high gear, it acts like an overdrive. So we may do that with a 6-speed. 6-speed, I think, should be a terrific transfer, should drag and drive, stuff like that, just because it will, if it's not an overdrive, make it act like one.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's just so cool that the sport continues to grow and that you guys are leading the way and building something. Because you're right. I mean, Chad Fegley's one who's got a Corvette, and I saw him blow a chunk out of the side of his T56 Magnum or T56, and there was oil all over the place, and that gets pretty dangerous when you're down, in the 6s, and especially when you're talking about 5 seconds. Like we don't need any of our friends to be bouncing off walls because
No.
we're blowing up transmissions. So
that's all this was about, something safe that they could throw some power at.
So I am curious, you talked about the input shaft and that you could make one live. Like, what is the difference between what's currently out there and what you've either designed into, a 5,000 horsepower capable transmission? What's the difference on like the input shaft? Because I know that's a huge failure point or twisting point for lots of people, Rich and I both included. Or is that a secret?
It's not really a secret, but it just seems to be a missed item that I don't understand why my competition doesn't follow suit with what we do. So a lot of it, okay, all their input shafts, they're one piece. So when you make a one-piece input shaft, you have to pick something for gear life. The input gear is part of that shaft. You're probably going to make it out of 9310. Ideally an AMS 6265, not an AMS 6260, but that's just it's a vac remelt version of 9310. Much tighter grain structure, great material for a gear, not a good material for a shaft. So they have a one-piece configuration that is a 9310 shaft. That shaft has plenty of potential to live up at the horsepowers you're running them at, just made out of the right material. So what we do is you could send me in your broken input and I'll just put a new shaft in it. The way we combo it, the way we weld it, whether we feel it needs to be splined just to keep it from twisting, we can spline it, then weld it in place. They don't come apart. Now I can make that shaft out of, say, a better shaft material. I can go all the way up to, say, Vasco Max C300 or just 300M. Even 4340 would be a much better choice than the 9310. but we do a steps. If you tell me how much horsepower and what spline you're mandated to or that you're stuck with, that 10 spline you're talking about, the problem with that is trying to fit all that in there and get a throwout bearing to work and or slave cylinder or whatever you're using. That is a big spline, 1 3/8 diameter, tough to fit all that in. There's no reason for it.
So we'd be talking about the 29 spline, but like, Rich, talk about the PPG because they use the tulip shaft. I think that's what you're talking about, right, Craig?
I don't know what a tulip shaft. So the odd part for me is I've never seen what my competition does until they fail, and then people send them to me and say, "Can you fix this?" So that's the only time I really see. So I honestly don't know what PPG does. So there's a possibility that they do make them in two-piece. I don't know. So you say a tulip shaft. I don't know what that means.
It's just not a. There's a taper. It's neck down.
Okay.
After the spline before it goes in the gear.
Okay, that part I would do regardless. I'm a fan of that, but there are people that say you don't want to. You want a stronger shaft. I'm a fan of necking down right to the minor diameter of the spline, not any further than that, but just to the minor diameter of the spline. So while I'm hobbing the spline, I can hob through into the undercut without hitting that spline area or that shaft area, the undercut area. So I am a fan of doing that. It gives you a torsional capability over a much longer area now. So instead of if you just cut a spline and wash it out into the major diameter of the spline, then all the stress is right where the clutch disc, the back of the clutch disc is. And that's the shaft. It has no torsional capabilities. You're probably going to snap it off if you leave it a larger diameter. But there's engineers that would argue that point. I'm a street smart engineer. I have no schooling behind me. I've learned everything I know in metallurgy and design just on trial and error. And to me, that's the best way of doing it. There's plenty of engineers that would want to argue with me. I guess I don't know. I like the way we do things. Like I say, send me one of your broken inputs. Let me have a shot at it. You'll be happy.
Yeah, typically we haven't been breaking it. I've been twisting them, but
Twisting.
Send me a
PPG does. Yeah, PPG does make a coil and a gear. I'm gonna say this. Just PPG's got their own issues though.
Okay.
I had one of their gear sets that I couldn't get it to stay in 6th gear. We finally back cut the face plating to try to get it to stay in 6th gear, and we'll find out when I drive it to sick week. But
Okay.
it's good to know. It's good to know that you guys will do that, Craig. So yeah, we'll be talking if I end up with I have like a flower pot full of.
I do too. A flower pot of twisted input shafts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you're having a problem with the 6th gear also, you can send me the box. Let me look at it. It might be something that you're just not looking at. It's there, simple for us to find. PPG makes some pretty nice stuff. I'm not going to dog their products. Their metallurgy, not bad. Tooth profiles, pretty good. They make things different than I would make it, of course. That's just human nature. There's a certain way most people want their stuff, and PPG has their way. I have my way. But they're not a bad piece at all.
So that leads me to another question. There are companies making aftermarket gear sets and shafts for the T56 platform. Are you guys going to be doing something like that? Do you see that as a market segment
we actually do make an aftermarket gear set. The problem is my aftermarket gear set. So I have a first gear as part of the shaft, second, third, and fourth all spline on. It is a spur gear, so you don't have the end thrusting. So containing those gears was much easier. And I mean, it works very well. The problem with it, actually, I don't even know what the problem was other than back when we came out with this, we're talking, this is over 15 years ago. We were known for taking a long time to get anything out of here. We've made leaps and bounds improvements over that over the last, say 10 years. We still have people complaining. Of course, you always do. Drag racers, they want their stuff right away. But, and some of our stuff does take, some of our custom stuff does take longer. Our gear sets nothing was mass produced. Everything was made like, not necessarily one off, but we'd make, say, 3 gear sets in a certain ratio. And then the next person would want something else. And we'd make 3 gear sets like that. And you might have inventory and you might not. So we would have to make pretty much everything one off. So you've got somebody comes comes along like G-Force. G-Force now makes, I think, the gear sets, and then I could be wrong, but I think they make the gear sets for Tick, and possibly some other people, or maybe themselves. And they're really good at making higher quantities than we are. I mean, maybe cost competitive, maybe they're a better price than us. I have no clue, but people went that way. It is, and if no one's coming asking me for something, then they must have a product that's working. And if G-Force does a good job with it, we have no reason to get in that market. Now if all of a sudden they don't want to do it anymore, or everyone says, a G-Force gear set absolutely sucks, we don't know what happened, but they don't live anymore, then we'll start looking at it. But right now, that's not the case. Most people running them, I think, are pretty happy with them. Like I say, I think Tick uses it. G-Force sells them themselves, I think. Again, I don't really know. I don't pay a lot of attention to competition.
Sure.
I pay attention to my customer. My customer comes to me and asks, can you do this? Here's why. And we decide what we want to take and add to our plate.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, it's good to hear. I know that actually I think it was Brad who I was dealing with like when I was on Drag and Drive, and he got me some parts pretty
Me
quick
too.
when I needed them, for sure.
Yep.
Like
Yeah.
he definitely took care of me. So but I also get that if you're really busy, stuff takes time, and we're an impatient bunch. I mean, that's just the way
Yeah.
it is, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, it's good to hear that you guys got more employees and things are speeding up. I'm pretty sure you're going to be pretty busy with this new transmission when it comes out. There's definitely lots of chatter about it, and some of the really fast guys, I mean, they're making 2 passes and are putting in their spare transmission because they're not surviving. So
Yeah. A lot of
um,
people at the show, they would have 2 transmissions and they cannot finish a weekend, haven't finished a weekend yet. They would hurt both transmissions, and they're not about to put 4 in the trailer.
Rough. Yeah.
So this one here, I mean, I don't know why you would really need a spare. I truly don't. You put one of these in, like my NHRA Pro Stock boys, the only reason they have a spare transmission is because they want another one built with different ratios. And that's
yeah.
about it. So they can swap one out very quick. Really do it because they fail. But
So
again, that's clutchless stuff. This is different, but same concept of a transmission, just complete different slider engagement.
So let's talk about that. And I had asked Tinsy Smith actually said something about that there's tons and tons of ratios available for this new transmission. So talk about that as far as ratio selections for that.
We did decide after the show or during the show, just the bunch of us in the booth talking, and that and out to dinner in the evenings, whatever. I'm going to probably dummy down the ratio chart some. So we have my ultimate Z ratio chart, which would literally give you tens of thousands of combinations. I don't see where this H pattern transmission needs tens of thousands. Like right now, from what I understand, they have 1, 2, or 3 to pick from. Why do you need tens of thousands of them? So I'm going to probably dummy it down to what we call our Mountain Motor Pro Stock. So Mountain Motor is big cubic inch, lots of torque. I think we'll limit it to those tooth profiles. It'll actually be a wider gear set than the Mountain Motors run, just because an H pattern transmission has a potential to actually be more impact than my clutchless transmission on the gear set. So we're actually building it stronger than, say, an NHRA Pro Stock car transmission is. The gear sets will be considerably stronger than what those guys run, like by a bunch. But by limiting those to that gear set, we probably have, I mean, you're still going to have thousands of ratio combinations. It's probably, so if you know what a headset is in the transmission, it's the front gear in the transmission. You can just change that headset, or you can change just first, just second, or just third gear. By changing that headset, it would move all your ratios up or down, kind of like a ring and pinion change, other than your high gears still going to be 1-to-1. So you've got, it's the versatility of it. The ratio options are still staggering, but I'm going to probably break it down to probably about 10% of what we were going to do before the show. It was just too confusing to most people. Anyhow, when you look at my ratio chart, it'll give you a headache looking at it.
I was just going to say, when there's too much stuff on the menu, my head just gets stuck. So yeah, you guys probably know stick shift racing enough that it's like, here's the ratios are going to work. And yeah, I'm right there with you. I think if there's too many options, one, it's too hard to keep up with the multiple of different orders, and this way
Mm.
you'll be able to, you know, limit the options and
Yeah.
be able to,
Inventory,
produce
that's
them.
one of the big ones. If you looked at
Yeah.
my shelves here with inventory of those tens of thousands of ratios, we actually have them all in stock. It's a balancing act trying to keep them all, and we will run out once in a while. But even when we run out, we can. So let's just say I go back there, I take an order tomorrow, Monday. I take an order, and I don't have third gear for a transmission somebody really needs out. I can actually go cut that gear, cut the material, turn it, cut the teeth on it, put rams and lugs on it. We go to heat treat on Wednesday. I can get to heat treat this Wednesday with it, have it back from cryo Monday. So in 1 week's time, we can actually make any gear set we don't have in stock. Now, granted,
Wow.
if 40 people come in and I have to come up with 40 gear sets, I can't do it the same week. But we have such a tremendous inventory that we can typically fill a void, the minimal voids that we might run into very quickly. And that's
So-
part of the beauty of the H pattern is the fact that it's coming off from that dual countershaft transmission with spline clusters. That's a very easy deal for us to make. So we can keep tremendous inventory of that in stock and build transmissions very quick. So right now, if you call up and you say you want a custom gear set for a T56 out from us, we can get you ratios that nobody else has. We will build you pretty much any ratio you want. And strong, very good gear set might not be cost competitive to say a G-Force gear set. I don't know. I truly don't know what they sell theirs for. Couldn't even tell you what we sell ours for, but I could tell you Monday if you called up, Brad would get you a quote on one. But I can do it, but you would wait probably 12 to 16 weeks for us to make that gear set for you. Whereas in this new H pattern transmission, you don't have near that wait.
What is this transmission? What are you looking to sell this one for?
Right now we priced it up. It's 12.6 is what we did, kind of I'm not going to say shoot from the hip. We of course put some thought into it and laid all the components out. One of the things that really did help us, so I keep mentioning G-Force making gear sets and stuff. G-Force is owned by the long shifter people, Long's Machine and Tool. We went to them and asked them if they were interested in supplying us shifters for our new H pattern trans, and absolutely they are interested. So they sent me a bunch of choices to work from, and they actually have a top cover and a shifter off. I think it's their GSR transmission possibly, and it actually works very, very well. So that kind of streamlined us very quickly. Now I buy a complete top cover and shifter, drop it onto. Now I do have to build the case around it, so it changed my cases some, but it was probably going to take us right now 6 to 8 weeks just to design our own shifter. We no longer have to. This thing does seem to work very well. If there's any components in it that don't work for us or we start failing, we'll make them ourselves. If I feel metallurgy or something, it has to be, and G-Force understands that, or Longs understands that. But right now we want to work with them. It makes it to where it's that much less componentry that I have to manufacture in-house. So we're right down to gearing shafts, and so the 12,600 was using their shifter and all that. Now the only problem we do have is that is a cast case, and again we didn't decide yet whether it's going to be mag or aluminum. We'll probably decide this week, but that's a cast case. If you don't want to wait for a cast case and I have to make it and bill it, it's a $2,000 premium for me to make it and bill it, because I literally have about 24 hours machine time in a billet case.
Yeah, for sure.
Between the two halves and then line boring and everything else we do. So you're
You know,
46 right now if you're impatient.
So here's my thought. Like, some people will be like, my God, 12.6 for a transmission. Well, a G-Force built T56 Magnum is right in there.
Yeah.
And if you got to take two of those to an event,
Yeah.
yours makes a whole lot of sense.
It does. I did
as a
not
matter
know
of
that.
fact,
I didn't know you could
justify
get that much money out of a T56. I really didn't. I didn't know that their stuff was that expensive and that people were buying it. So to find out where our price point came in compared to that, I see why they probably don't want us out there. It's going to be hard for them to compete against the trans that lives and ratio availability and the versatility that we have. You can get pretty much anything you want. Shifter location, anywhere you want it. We don't care.
Well, the advantage right now is the dimensions of it are a little more compact, and it's got a double overdrive. So that's a drop-in solution for a drag and drive situation. However, and this is, I mean, I'm practically a mathematician, but if you don't have to buy a second transmission, you're actually money ahead buying yours than two
Right.
T56 Magnums, right, Rich? I mean, that
Well,
makes
yeah,
complete
yeah,
sense
and
to
I
me.
think I mean, the market is such that there is the outlaw stick racing is getting pretty big, and there's quite a few people in there, but there's still lots of us drag and drive. So the double overdrive, like I couldn't live without at least one overdrive at this point. But we've had tons of people on here. Nick Coleman, for example, he's the fastest guy. Yeah, I think he takes his transmission apart between rounds, pulls it out, checks it, and puts it back together so that he's successful in X1. And there's a reason that he's as fast as he is, but
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he would love to not do that.
Yeah. But if it
Oh,
works
yeah.
for him and he's happy with it, hey, more power to him. There's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, and his is a 4-speed. Like he's taken, that's the funny part too, is the amount of people that are taking these 6-speeds, taking fifth and sixth out to reduce weight and erasing them as 4-speeds just because they were the current strongest pieces out there that you could
Yeah.
put in a lot of these vehicles. So
Yeah.
great to have another option. So it sounds like you're moving fast on this.
We're
When
moving very fast on it. Yes. It's,
So,
well, we were really close to having so the unit that we took to PRI was a non-functional unit. It was kind of a concept primarily because we just got that shifter from G-Force or from Long just 2 weeks before the show, and we didn't have time to design the rest of the transmission around. The case really wasn't designed to fit that shifter. It was designed or built to fit our original shifter that we were going to make, which was a kind of more of the size of a T5 top cover. Is very similar to a T5 top cover, very similar componentry, which so is the GSR. It's just that everything was different. So we ended up that unit we brought to the show had an adapter plate on the top to bolt the GSR lid on it. I don't even think people noticed that because they were just in awe that this transmission is available and it's here. And they walk up and shifted it, and it had an adapter to put the shifter on. Because again, our tail housing bolt pattern was not quite the same as theirs. So, so now we're making all those changes so everything bolts up right.
so when Rich orders one of these on Monday, what stickers come in the box? So Liberty and G-Force stickers or what?
It's going to be just strictly Liberty. So we will take the
Okay.
long shifter handle off from it. It has a long ball on it. It's going to have a Liberty pistol grip. That's the only thing that says long anywhere on it. But and they even
Okay.
offered to take that off for us. And we're not too proud to leave their name on it. I don't mind that. But my guys like pistol grip stuff. That's just what we're
Yeah.
known for.
Yeah.
So they will have a Liberty pistol grip on them. Going to say Liberty on it. And I don't think anywhere else on it says long.
So when Rich orders one tomorrow, how long till he gets it?
Right now orders we're taking right now. We're probably somewhere around March or end of March, early April. The orders taken
Okay.
right now.
So after sick week, Rich.
after
Unless
6
you
week
need,
and
if you really need one beforehand, I might be able to sneak something in there.
you
But
don't
we don't want
want to
to
look.
we don't want to miss any events right now. So that's kind of key to us to making this thing where it stays legal, becomes legal, stays legal, whatever is. I don't want it to miss any events. So, in the first events, from what I'm understanding, there's something in, I think, March, right? Is that and I don't know.
April. Yeah,
April.
April is like, I mean, sick week it's February 1st, but I think the market for this one, it's streetcar bragging rights in April. There's 70
That's
stick
what I'm
cars. Yeah, 70 stick cars gonna be there. I think there's only like 4 spots left. They've just about sold it out, which is
Okay.
amazing to me. Like Nate has done a great job. But all of the fast guys were there last year. Nick, Jonathan Atkins, Josh Manning, they were all there.
Rich Guido.
I
Rich
think
Guido was there.
I was there. Yeah, I'm not an outlaw though. Like my gig's quite a bit different. Like mine's an 850 car that's gone 828 at 4,000 pounds at like 174 miles an hour. So my short time sucks. But like for me, I definitely need the overdrive. So but I'm still super excited to see one of your transmissions in one of these cars. Like Josh Manning is a good friend of ours, and he was telling us the other day that like he's got lots of power on tap, but he doesn't have a transmission that can handle it currently. So he's turning it down. And I think, is Josh number 2? I think he's like 661 or something, or like he's gone pretty fast, but he's also hurts the transmissions quite a bit. So
does he have
yeah,
a Liberty coming yet?
I know he was talking to you guys at PRI, or he's definitely been having that conversation. So yeah,
Just curious. You're friends with him. I thought you may know something.
yeah, I know he was.
A couple at that first event. And I'm not going to say he is or isn't one of the few that will be there, but we will have some cars with the transmission. We do plan to.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah, it's I think that one World Cup, there's when the stick cars come out, they come out in droves. So like 70 stick cars is a pretty
that's a
it's
big number.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So you guys don't do clutches at all, though. Strictly, basically manual gearboxes.
Manual transmissions. We handle clutches. We will source them for you. We'll sell them. We have relationships with plenty of clutch manufacturers, but that's just so you can buy a package at one place. That's all it's really for. It's a convenience thing for my customers. We'd be very happy if you just got it yourself, because if you're comfortable with it, you can deal with them. Put us as a middleman. Sometimes there's something lost in translation, and I'd rather you talk to them directly. But we will, if you're trying to get a full package, we'll supply you a full package.
Awesome.
Nice.
And you said you're in Detroit, are you?
Detroit area. We're in Harrison Township, Michigan, so we're about 15 miles east of Detroit. We came from downriver our whole lives, and so we were 15 miles west of Detroit in Taylor, Michigan. That's where we went into business, Dearborn Heights and Taylor area forever, and then we moved out to what's called the East Side, and it's a different world over here, believe it or not. You're only 30 minutes away, but it's a complete different environment over here.
Is it on the other side of the tracks?
Yeah, it's definitely the other side of the tracks.
Okay, good.
So if I'm in my 65 GTO driving around the country and I drop by there, I'll still have wheels if I go in and visit you and come back up?
Yes, you could leave it out here for weeks and you're just fine. So we come back from a race, and I mean, I shouldn't say this, but we come back from a race and sometimes we leave the whole rig out in the parking lot, and it's Wednesday by the time we get a chance to actually pull it inside. And I will say it's partially because we have 24/7 security here, because I lease out the back of my shop to a grow. And so recreational marijuana became legal in Michigan back a couple of years back. And so I now lease to a grow. Well, they by law have to have 24/7 security. So that's good for you. Some of the stuff, but
I was going to say, maybe this is the part we edit out, but now it's fine. So
it's all legal. I'm not a big advocate of it, I will say that, but hey, it's
a little smelly. Yeah, it's legal here in Colorado, and whatever, they do whatever they want.
I thought we would have learned from your mistakes and not done it, but I don't think it's been good for Colorado, and I don't believe it's been good for Michigan, but hey, it's here.
So here's a funny, I don't partake in it, but this is so funny to me. So you know the mile markers on the highway? The one that is almost at the edge of the state, the 420, the state had to change it to 419.9 because it was getting stolen all the time.
Every week.
Yeah, like every week it was gone. And it's pretty funny. So anyway.
So Craig, I might as well spill the beans here. So you were talking about so I currently am putting together a third transmission, because when I bought the PPG gear set, I took out the stock set, and so I bought another case. So yeah, I am definitely I have a T56 Magnum with a G-Force gear set. I have a T56 Magnum with a PPG gear set, and now I'm just putting together the third one that's just going to have the normal gear set back in it. But so yeah, I think people are willing to spend the money to have something that lasts, or at least buy another transmission to get them back home. So I think you guys are doing the right thing with the market. I definitely think, between drag and drive and just how fast stick shift cars are going now, I think the market's not going to slow down any.
No, it doesn't look like it.
Yeah, and honestly, what you were saying too is like the main issue that well, you and I both have had is the input shaft. And if that's a solution you guys can do off the existing 29 spline input shafts, like, man, I'll send you one or two of my twisted ones to fix,
I
basically.
would definitely try it, and it's pretty economical too. It's not a lot of money.
Yeah. Well, when we get off, I seriously I might do that. We'll get your contact information when we get off of here. But yeah, that's awesome. Huh. So
And if that's the only problem anyone's having with, say, PPG or G-Force's gear set, and we can make it to where they have a more economical solution, we're willing to do it. We
I
can
think
help
they're
out the race.
twisting output shafts now too.
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this animated second gear synchro or face plating takes a pretty good beating. Like
Yeah.
usually when I take mine all apart and I look at that one, when I'm in there, I'll usually change it out too. But it is what it is. I also put a ton of miles on. Last year was 25,000 miles on the car. So
That's a lot.
and it's 16-ish 100 horsepower and 4,000 pounds. The
Yeah.
stupidest race car ever, but
Well, it's the
Speaking of
most
race-
comfortable. It's the most
Yeah.
comfortable race car ever.
it is pretty comfortable. Yeah. So what do you guys race, Craig? You mentioned that when you guys go racing. So what classes are you racing in?
We run a class called Pro 632 or Outlaw 632. So you get 632 cubic inches and a single shot of nitrous, 36 jet, really small amount of nitrous. And that's it. It's run what you run. It's heads up racing. That's the type of racing we like to do. It's something that we can afford to do. We'd probably love to have a pro mod car, but just can't justify doing it. But the heads up racing is what we want to do. So we 8th mile, we run 14s, somewhere 415, 414. That's but we honestly need to run 411 to be competitive right now. And 414, 415 should have been number one qualified at the beginning of this year. We were number 6 and 7 at this last event. And I think we were number one time this year, and that was at Bristol altitude event. And we need to try and figure out why our car ran so fast in altitude, but back down at sea level, we don't seem to pick up like everyone else does. We're about, so it's being 100th ahead, we were 300s behind. And 300s at drag racing in our style of drag racing is a ton. Hard to make that up.
And what's the drivetrain in it?
It's a big block Chevy. And like I say, 36 jet of nitrous. And of course, for my Liberty 5-speed, we actually run it as a 3-speed right now because of the rules. So the 5-speed, anything more than 3 forward gears is penalized a little bit. And we just figured, okay, let's not take the penalty. So we run it as a 3-speed, and we have a torque converter in front of it instead of a clutch. So one of the big things, pro mod cars these days, torque converter, nobody seems to run a clutch anymore, very few. Everyone is torque converter. You can run lockup converter with fluid manipulation and all the things you can do with a converter. It's just simple. It's easy to do and repetitive. You're not servicing a clutch constantly. So a lot of torque converter driven cars in our class.
Interesting.
Very cool. Yeah.
Was that a test bed for this transmission, or do you guys use a dyno, or how do you come up with the 5,000 horsepower number?
That is screw blown. So I've got one customer that swears he's 5,200 horsepower. How he knows that, I don't know, but you can potentially obtain that type of horsepower, screw blown. And so I just, took him at his word, I guess, that he's 5,200. He may not be, but the fact that he's got to have, let's just say, I know he's over 4,000 horsepower and he's not braking or stuff. He wants to say 52. I'll use that as bragging rights to say that, the transmission holds up.
Might be like 5180. I mean,
yeah,
come on.
something like that. So and the fact that we don't brake, we really don't. Even though, so we got pro mod cars out there. They're all big horsepower, and a lot of them have one transmission, and they don't even have a spare. It's kind of amazing. Yeah, and they don't need it. They don't fail stuff. They don't break stuff.
So what the people listening are not watching the video, you missed Rich with the face on the palm in his face with that comment.
It's hard to believe, but it's just our stuff works. That's what we're known
That's
for.
fantastic. Yeah, that's great.
Well, and I think the other piece too is when when the gear is spline on shafts and you break a gear, you can put another gear in. But when you're talking counter shafts that are one piece or, stuff like that, you need a whole nother gear set if you're going to carry spare parts. So yeah, that's also an advantage to your, so what do you call it in the new transmission? We keep talking about it, but what's the name of it?
I don't know if we had names coming through our shop where the guys were voting on names. And right now I'm just calling it the H pattern transmission. So if it does have a name pretty soon, I guess so equalizer is what all of our transmissions, all the dual counter shafts for are called, because power comes in the input shaft and it's equalized between two clusters. It goes left and right. So that it is an equalizer H pattern. So there's guys in here saying, oh, it's got to be the EH. And I'm like, yeah, because we got EZ trans and we have all kinds of different stuff. And we're not quite sure what it's going to be called yet. So right now it's just H pattern trans.
I have an idea. How about you call it the clutch burner transmission?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's a great idea.
Not bad, huh?
And you only have to send us very, very, very reasonable royalty to Rich and I. Maybe just me because I thought of it, but
okay. We'll put that one in the hat too and see what everyone says.
And maybe with that segue, we go to our questions.
All right.
So we call this the TKO round, and then we have the bonus T56 question. So
all right.
I get started off. So Craig, what's the first car that you owned or modified?
The first car I owned was a 73 Duster, and that was 16. I actually had it when I was 14 years old. It sat for a year and a half until I started driving it. And not much modified. It had a worn out 340 motor in it, and it was like just went through a lot of oil. And a buddy of mine, or friend of the family, had a 360 he had just built, and so we put this 360 in it. Me being 16 years old, thinking, "Wow, I just got 20 more cubic inches. It's going to be so much faster." And
rocket
it was really
ship.
big. It was a big. The 340 had more power, but I didn't know any better. It just seemed like a smart thing to do. And if there was a 380 available, I probably would have wanted that too. I didn't know. Young, dumb. But so that was my first car. But my first real car was right after that one. A customer of mine had a 70 Chevelle that and then plus the 340 Mopar was a automatic, so it almost doesn't count. So my 70 Chevelle actually had a 4-speed.
We're gonna edit. We'll edit that part out.
Okay, we can. So my 70 Chevelle was my first 4-speed car, and that was a lot of fun. That was a really, really nice car. 396 car, 402, whatever they call it.
Like
but
those.
yeah, it was a beautiful car. I put a lot of money into it. And then when he got it all done, he just decided that it just rode too stiff for him. So he traded in for, I think, a Grand Sport, or something. I don't even know what he wanted. So he wanted to sell this car. And when he came to our shop to sell it, he sold it so cheap. I was embarrassed to buy it. But it was beautiful car. And I'm going to probably get a clone to it someday. It was a seafoam green. It was not the color I would pick, but considering that's what I had, I am probably going to end up with one of those again someday. I'd like to have a 454 though.
So it was embarrassing, but you got over it quickly.
Oh yeah, very quickly.
Okay.
The shop told me, you need to go buy that car. And I went up there and I bought it from the guy. I actually cashed him out. He turned around and started walking out the door. And I said, "Where are you going?" He said, "I'm going home." He lived about 40 miles away and he was just going to walk home. And I'm like, "How are you getting it? You have a ride?" And he said, "Well, no, I didn't know you were buying the car today." And he said, "There's got to be a bus somewhere around here." And I'm thinking, "Oh my goodness, okay, you know what?" And I had my sister, I had her take him home, which the guy could have been some serial killer. I don't know, but Vicky, can you go take this guy home for me? And she did. But so anyhow, that was my first fun car, 70 Chevelle SS.
Nice.
That's the first stick shift added drag strip for me was that car.
Nice.
We're gonna get to that in a minute here.
Okay.
Well, let's bang it into second gear next. So, what, in your opinion, has been the biggest technology change to move our sport forward?
Maybe a
Well, and not
Liberty
to keep
transmission?
yeah, well, you know what? Not to keep this really self-centered, but the clutchless transmission it was a big development. And when NHRA Pro Stock changed over to it in the early 90s, that was the biggest spike of ET that they had in years. And they took a Lenko out, which is a planetary style unit. They use up a lot of horsepower, pretty strong design, but they do suck up some horsepower. And they put our clutchless in and instantly picked up. But the thing was, clutches weren't ready for it, chassis weren't ready for it, tires weren't ready for it. So as they started bringing all those things and making them where they could benefit from what our transmission brought to the table for them, it was a tremendous gain overall. Today, you go back to a Lenko, it'll be a huge advantage with a Liberty over a Lenko. Back when they first did it, was only 100th and a half, 200ths, which was a big gain. But now you start tailoring everything around it. Triple 6-inch clutches or 6 1/4 inch clutches, and all the things that we can, I guess you can benefit with a Liberty. So, and again, not to pat myself on the back or whatever, but I truly think it is a big technological advantage over what used to be.
And you guys were the first to come out with the clutchless manual, correct?
Yeah, I'm technically a Lenko is a clutchless transmission. You leave the starting line with the clutch and shift it without, but it has clutch packs inside of it. So
Okay.
shy of the Lenko, then yes, we were.
Okay. All right. Now we're going to palm shift it and hopefully not bust third gear. We'll go to third gear. If you could spend one day with someone, who would it be and what would you do?
This one might choke me up, but it'd be my dad. Lost my dad, whatever, little over 5, 6 years ago. And there's a lot of questions that I guess I never really thought to ask. And a lot of it's company related. And not necessarily. There's other things that you just wish if you had more time with somebody. So I would have to say if it counted people like that, then it's bringing my dad back for a day. What we would do, we'd sit around a lot and talk a lot. But what I would really like for him to do is to come see us race in the fashion that we race today. My dad and I raced back in the 80s, early 80s into the early 90s, and actually late 80s into early 90s. And we did really well, had a lot of fun. But it came a time where we said we had to park the race car and it was just time to concentrate on business. Or actually, I said it. He wasn't really on board with that. He wanted to keep racing. But I'd liked him to see what my daughter, his granddaughter, and I do today. And he was around for years of us racing. And it's just unfortunately, mentally, he was a little bit confused in later years. Unfortunately, happens to a lot of people. And so he never did make it to a drag strip to actually see her race. So I'd love to have him come to a racetrack, sit down, talk to him for most of the day, and then go to a racetrack and watch us race.
That's awesome.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, well, what influences you to build your cars?
This would be fourth gear. Fourth gear.
Fourth
Oh,
gear, yes.
we're into fourth gear now.
Yeah.
What influences us is our products. It's testing our products is the biggest thing we want to do out there. And this is really sounding horrible because everything seems so self-centered on liberty, liberty, liberty. But that's what we do. It's my dad and I. That's the reason we went racing. It was to test our product and to learn the shortcomings of it and maybe what it does do. So that back then in the early 80s, it was 84 actually when we started racing together. It was before Pro Stock ran our stuff. It was we wanted to develop this transmission and understand what a slipper clutch would do. L&T clutch. I think we had one of the very first two, and it was myself and John Lingenfelter got the first two slipper clutches to at least understand what this thing has a potential to do for drag racing with combined with our clutchless transmission. And so it was that's what really gets us to a racetrack is to test things and try to go faster. And you would be amazed at the changes we make in our own product line just to put our car down the track. We've been from 2-speed to 7 speeds, and just to see what we can learn and what it does to a motor and the car, the chassis, the tire, the gear changes, just everything, how it pulls nitrous and opposed to a 3-speed opposed to a 4 and a 5, how it just pulls the nitrous and how much horsepower, the average it makes on the run. Testing bearings, testing. So we just test efficiencies of drivetrain stuff because it all relays back to the efficiency we can put into our own transmissions. So what gets us to a racetrack? Honestly, a Liberty transmission again.
Awesome.
Well, of course.
Totally fair. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
right,
you'd answer something different.
Yeah. So the first overdrive, fifth gear, what in your opinion is the secret to stick shift racing?
The secret to it? If I told you, it wouldn't be a secret, would it? The secret to it is longevity and durability. You go out there, you can go out there with all the horsepower in the world. You have to get something that you got to make it to the stripe. So I mean, that's of course a secret, but that's just one of them. First of all, you've got to be smart enough to put it down a racetrack. So stick shift racing is definitely different than an automatic, but it depends on the level too. If we're talking like H pattern level, that's one thing. Pro mods all run torque converters nowadays. So it's you get a lot of the torque converter technology. H pattern stuff, you're all clutches. So the secret there is getting a car to smoothly go down a racetrack. Clutch assisted H pattern, there's not much smooth about it. You have to have a power disruption somewhere through the drivetrain. So if you can navigate that and control a tire, you're going to be extremely fast. And to me, the shorter drops you can get, the better chance you have of that. With a 4-speed, I think we're going to be better off when our 5-speed is done, but maybe not. 4-speed might be enough, but I think a 5-speed with a shorter drop and helping control a tire is going to be a really big plus for the H pattern style racing.
I like what you said there. Ben Strader says they keep the trophies at the end of the track, not at the beginning. So
That's
you
it.
got to make it to the end. You
Yeah.
can't pick up your trophy at the beginning.
It is true. Chuck, Rich, you got something crazy going on in that room there.
The cat wants in the room, and it's trying to talk to me. And apparently my microphone's good enough to pick it up, but
I won't even comment on that one.
Yeah. Okay, tell us about first memory you have as we go into 6th gear, making a pass in a stick car.
That goes back to my 70 Chevelle. That was a lot of fun. So I didn't have that car we had the high school nationals back then. When you were a senior in high school, you can come race at the high school nationals at Milan Dragway. And unfortunately, I didn't have my stick car for that. So soon after that, though, going to the racetrack with that car, it was a tremendous amount of fun. I thought I could outshift absolutely anybody. Nobody could shift a stick shift like I can, And, but then you later see videos of it, and maybe I wasn't as good as I thought I was. But I was 18 years old, I thought I was invincible. But a lot of fun.
That's
I actually
awesome.
went home and changed the ratios in it right away because it just felt like it was lazy through low gear. And I figured, you know what? And it's probably just spinning the tire, but I added ratio to it right away to get it to 60 foot better. And it did. It helped the 60 foot. So I actually learned something from that. It probably spun the tire just as bad, but it spun at a lesser RPM because of the more low gear, better chance of it recovering. So I probably learned something from it. I don't know if it really sank in until I was probably 25 or 26, but looking back, I probably learned something from that car.
Nice.
That's awesome. I will say that is my favorite Chevy muscle car, 70 Chevelle.
Yep.
Yeah,
mine
those
too.
are nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Yes.
So I realized you stop at the T56, you stop at 6th gear. You realize we make 7 speeds, 10 speeds. So eventually you can have a 7-speed question, the Liberty 7 equalizer question, but whatever.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah, that's a good point. Okay, do you have any social media, website, any of that stuff you want to drop here as far as people can go and see this?
I would assume we do, but I'm not a social media guy, so I couldn't even tell you what they are. It's you could talk to Nicole on all that stuff, and you have to edit out this part, I would imagine, and she can fill you in on the rest of it.
We're gonna leave it. We're gonna leave it. It'll be good. But if I can get the links, I'll put it in the. Yeah, we'll put it in the.
I will have Nicole get them to you.
Yeah, if she says a picture of the new trans, mind you, I could probably find it out there too. Yeah. But I'll use that for the thumbnail and stuff. And yeah, we might as well keep stirring it up.
Sounds good. I appreciate the opportunity.
Yes, you're welcome. So thank you so much for coming on here. And of course, if you're listening to this, you found it on a podcast platform. And we would love to see actually the world wearing Clutch Burner Podcast t-shirts and or Stick Shift Nation shirts like I have on tonight.
Nice.
And you
should
can
have
head
sent
over
me
to
one. I'd have one on right now.
Oh man. Okay. And so head over to stickracing.com and grab those t-shirts, hats, or stickers or whatever. So I think we can close this out. You got anything else, Rich?
No, other than really appreciate your time, Craig. I mean, this has been awesome. It's been too long. We should have had you on here a while ago. Probably would have saved me some money on input shafts. But no, it was great. We really appreciate your time, and don't hang up when Bill closes it out here. Closes it out here.
Yes.
Well,
All
thanks
right.
for